Boss consumables are something that go completely underappreciated in Elden Ring, such as Mogs and Margit Shackle, which allow you to pin the boss to the ground twice before phase 2. You can also use the Blasphemous Claw to parry the Black Blade in Malekith's boss battle, but I have a video dedicated to that, so check that out in the Elden Ring playlist. Permanent. Temporary buffs are something that can be differentiated from permanent buffs based on if they have a square or diamond. If it's a square, it's a permanent buff. If it's temporary, it's going to have a triangle. Certain headgears also give you different benefits, such as the Mushroom Head, which boosts your defense to various different status effects, and the White Mask, that gives you, I believe, 10% more damage when your health gets low. Wet blades are something that we all have used. You can get them over in Gatefront. You could get your first one over in Gatefront so you could apply them to your Ashes of War. However, there are different wet blades in the game that give your weapon different status effects, such as the black wet blade that can be found in the Sacred Knight's Ground over in the same area right before Mimic Me. By using this wet blade, you can actually apply bleed to whatever weapon you decide to equip with an Ash of War. So the giant hands and the little hand enemies that you can find all throughout the lands between have a little secret. If you hit them with a fire attack, they will get on the ground and start rolling around in a panic. This can give you ample time to prepare for your next attack. It's sort of like what the dogs used to do in Bloodborne, which is pretty cool that they have this little secret here, just in case you're willing to toy around. Okay, so say you were fighting the Black Knife Assassin over in the Sage's Cave. He's invisible, and one of the only plausible ways to fight him is with a summon. Thankfully, however, if you go to the place that's up on the screen right now and head over to this Hermit Merchant Shack, you can actually buy the Sentry's Torch. This torch will actually allow you to unveil the Black Knife Assassin, making this fight a lot easier. Okay, so crouching is something that you can find out in the tutorial. But did you know that crouch attacks do 25% more damage, which is the equivalent of a rolling attack? And when I say 25% more damage, I mean 25% more damage than a regular R1. If you do a crouching attack, you're doing 25% more damage, which is great because you don't have to waste as much stamina doing a roll. There is a secret cavern known as the Celia Hideaway. It's hidden behind an illusionary wall off the cliffside that houses the Crystallian Ashes, one of the best ash summons in the game, along with the Crystal Torrent as a reward for defeating one of the hardest bosses in the game, being the Crystallian Trio. There's also a seal here which is required for Selen's questline, and overall, there's a lot to explore and do, so make sure you don't miss out on this area. But have you ever had to drag your cursor all the way across the map to make your way over to the round table? Well, if you guys press square or Y on your controller and then go over to the round table option and press select, that will take you all the way back to the round table without having to scroll all the way down. So keep that in mind. Okay, so the Mimic here has been nerfed quite a bit, but it isn't completely useless, as you can use Shabiri's Woe to make enemies go after it instead. All you have to do is just have it equipped before you summon the Mimic, and as soon as Mimic Tier is summoned, you can take that off, and then the enemies will go after Mimic Me instead. Depending on how much vigor you have will depend on whether or not Mimic Me is going to be able to live long enough, but let me tell you guys right now, it's a very effective way to use Mimic Me. Crystal darts can be crafted with 3 cracked crystals. If you go over to the Erdtree Burial Watchdog fight over in Caelid's Catacombs, you can throw some of these at a Burial Watchdog and it will actually make them turn on the boss. This can also be done with imps, however it's a lot more difficult because they have less health. Moving across lava and swamps can be faster if you use Quick Step. However, did you know that if you use Bloodhound Step, it's even faster than a Quick Step? It's also worth mentioning that you can use these effectively even if you run out of FP, so that's very important to keep in mind. This one is really cool. If you make your way over to Dr. Patch's Junior machines in Caelid, you can actually perform this plunge attack that will instantly kill them. Just make sure you get away before they explode. Roses is the Usher of Death and has many statues set up throughout the lands between. Every time you light one of them, they're going to show the way over to a catacomb or some type of underground area. They can be kind of hard to find, but they'll set you on the right path. So, we all know that when you nestle your face into Fia's luxurious taco, you will obtain the Belgian's Blessing. The Belgian's Blessing is used to up your poise for 15 seconds. Now, while you have this in your inventory, you're going to see a red debuff icon, and the only way to lift this is by using the Belgian's Blessing. There is a total of 7 walking mausoleums in Elden Ring. Basically, once you make your way over to them and break them down by usually destroying the barnacles that are around its legs, or solving some type of jump puzzle, you'll be able to duplicate your remembrance runes. And make sure you do duplicate all of your remembrances at these walking mausoleums before heading into New Game Plus, because this is because your duplications will not carry over to the next New Game. Respecking can be done after obtaining the Great Rune of the Unborn, which you obtain from defeating Renala, Queen of the Full Moon. You are allowed 10 respects per playthrough, and each one requires you to use a larval tear. I do have a video on all the locations, so make sure you check that out as well. But if you need to do a respect to reallocate all of your investments, this is the place to do it. Altering some different armor sets in this game using different needles will allow you to uncover some secret lore behind them. Unfortunately, due to time, the only one I was really able to discover with an absolute fact is Loretta's armor, which after removing her royal blue, will uncover some different lore about her. Once you obtain the golden needle, you can actually get different versions of your boss armor. Very interesting about altering armaments in Elden Ring is if you're doing box questline, he will tailor your armor for free rather than you having to pay a small fee of runes to do it yourself. One can be pretty obvious, but different spell tools do boost different spell types, such as the meteorite staff that boosts your gravity sorceries. And it also comes with that scaling, which is great. But as a downside, it cannot be upgraded. Okay, if you press L3, you can sort your inventory in your inventory screen. So it's a quick way to keep track of everything you have. The grafted Stormhawks that can be found in Godric Stormvale Castle can actually be grounded if you use gravity.